Welcome to the first edition of TechLoveHate. I am your host, Craig Mason, and the purpose of this show is to help you get the most out of your technology. On this, the first edition of TechLoveHate, we're going to go over some of the most often asked questions that I get about technology. The first being, how do I speed up my computer? Whether you have a PC or a Mac, there are certain things that you can do to greatly enhance the speed of your computer. Over time, computers slow down. First thing you want to do is make sure that you have enough RAM. You want a minimum of 2 gig of RAM. I like to have an overhead of 4 gig of RAM. Not all computers can take that, but I will have links up on the show notes so you can look up your computer and see if your computer can take 4 gig of RAM. The extra RAM gives your computer more headroom to do what it needs to do. The other thing you want to check is to make sure you have enough hard drive space available for your operating system to do what it needs to do. On the Mac likes to have at least 10 gigabyte free to swap files and to use for virtual memory and all the things the operating system is doing in the background. If you're under 10 gig of hard drive space, you want to get an external hard drive and start backing your photos and videos and larger files up off your main drive onto your backup drive. On a PC, about the same thing. You want to have a good 10 gigabyte free for your computer to do what it needs to do. It also needs a certain amount of overhead. If you get below that, then your computer starts choking and gets slower and slower. If you've got a Windows machine, let's make sure that you're not running any Norton software, any of the semantic suites. Norton 360, Norton Utilities. In my experience, those software suites cause more problems than they fix. Whenever I get a call to fix someone's Windows machine, first thing I do is, after checking the RAM and hard drive space, is making sure they're not running any Norton software. If they are, I take it off, and that solves 80% of the issues that they have. The software I recommend to replace the Norton suites is a utility suite that most people have never even heard of. It's called Fix-It Utilities Professional. Most of the time you can find it on sale for $20. Normal price is $49. It's worth it. It takes care of registry issues, it takes care of file and folder issues, it takes care of viruses, spyware, adware, all of that fun stuff. When I install Fix-It Utilities on a Windows machine, very rarely do I get calls to come back and fix a machine thereafter, because it can be set up to run on a weekly schedule and take care of all of those things automatically. Now, there are 2 other utilities that I recommend Windows users run. They're both free. One is by Lavasoft. It's called Adware. They have a free edition and then 2 other paid editions. The free edition will do everything you need. It has to be run manually. The paid editions will run automatically, but if you just once a month or once a week even, if you so desire, run Adware, click it before you go to bed, it'll do its thing at night, and it'll take care of most of the adware that's out there. The other utility that I recommend running is called Spybot Search and Destroy. It's free also, and don't worry about writing any of this down. I will have links to all of this software in the show notes, but Spybot Search and Destroy will take care of most of your spyware. It's good to run multiple spyware and adware applications because no one piece of software takes care of it all. But if you run these 3, chances are nothing's going to get by you. Now, for you Mac users, there are a few things you need to be aware of. You don't have to worry about the viruses and the spyware and the adware and whatnot, because Apple makes both the hardware and the software, and it's running on top of Unix, which is rock solid. But you do have to do a little bit of basic maintenance to keep your Mac running smoothly and as fast as possible. 2 utilities that I recommend. One is called Disk Warrior. It's an $80 program, but it's the best $80 you can spend to keep your Mac running smoothly for years and years to come. The one thing it does that takes care of 90% of your issues is rebuild your directory from scratch. It goes through your hard drive, scavenges where the directory files are, and rebuilds it from scratch. Other utilities try to Fix the directory, so-so results. It's best to rebuild it from scratch. If you run Disk Warrior once a month on your Mac, it'll run smoothly for years. The other utility I recommend Mac users use is a little program called Onyx. It's free, and it does a lot of the things that your Mac would automatically do if you kept it running all the time. Most Mac users don't do that. What Onyx does is it runs those cache cleaners when you tell it to. It also does some other things that help keep your Mac running smoothly. We won't get into all of that, but I will have information on how to use Onyx, which settings to use to keep your Mac running smoothly, again, in the show notes. Now on to a topic which is much more fun: game consoles. One of the questions that I get asked most often is, which console should I get? A PS3 or an Xbox 360 or a Wii? There are a number of things to consider before deciding which game console to go with. First, do you have a standard definition TV or a high definition TV? If you've got a standard definition television, are you planning on upgrading to an HDTV soon? If you've got a standard definition television, you're probably going to want to lean towards the Wii. Also, if you've got kids under the age of 12, you're probably going to want to lean towards the Wii. The Wii has tons and tons of games. Unfortunately, 90% are not so good. But most kids don't care. They just want to have fun with their games. But I do recommend going to a site such as Metacritic's. Again, I'll put the links up on the show notes. And you can look up the gamer scores, see what critics all across the board have rated a game. If you've got teenagers, you're going to want to lean towards the PS3 or the Xbox 360. Now, which of those two should you get? That's a little bit tougher. Both have amazing games. The PS3 does have a few distinct advantages, though. One, if your kid wants to play with their friends online, you're going to pay $50 a year on the Xbox 360 for that privilege. On the PS3, playing games online is free. It's part of the service that's built into the PS3. If you want to play high definition movies, both can do it, but only one can play Blu-rays. The PS3 can play Blu-ray discs, the Xbox 360 cannot. It can stream HD from Netflix, but again, that costs $50 a year. It's only so-so HD streaming. When Netflix says they stream HD, it just means it's slightly better than standard definition because they're sending all that data over the internet. It's nowhere near the quality of a Blu-ray. So if you're watching a lot of movies, you're going to want to lean towards the PS3 because of its Blu-ray abilities. As far as pricing, the Wii is $200. The Xbox 360, you can get into the base model for $200. Don't recommend that one. It only comes with 4 gig. The next model up has a 250 gig hard drive. The PS3 sets you back $300, but again, you don't have to pay the yearly $50 fee to stream Netflix videos or to get online and play. The last subject before we get to an email that was sent in: which HDTV should I get? There are LEDs and LCDs and plasmas and different sizes and 1080p and 720p. What does it all mean? Well, LED is the latest technology. It uses little LED lights, a lot of them, some of them just around the edge, some of them around the entire back, which the edge lit, the back lit, can't go wrong with either of the LEDs. The nice thing about LED is they last a long time. They've got uniform colors, they've got vibrant colors, but they're definitely more expensive. They're on average $600 to $1,000 more for a comparable LED over LCD. Now the LCDs that are out today, they look great. If you're going to get a smaller TV, 32-inch, 37-inch, you'll see a bit of a difference in the LCD and the LED. The LEDs will be brighter and crisper, more uniform, but it's not going to be a huge difference in the smaller TVs. So for the smaller TVs, 32-inch, 37-inch, Because the LEDs are so much more expensive, I'd go with the LCD. Now, if you're wanting to go with a larger TV, 50-inch, 55-inch, 60-inch, 72-inch, you're going to want to go with the LED. If you're spending that much on the television, you're going to want to get the best quality possible. And you're going to see a difference between the LED and LCD. Now, both the LED and the LCD come in different speeds. They come in 60, 120, and 240 hertz. Now, the higher the hertz, the faster the TV scans each image across the screen. Now, what that does is get rid of motion blur. On the 60 hertz, for fast-moving objects such as a football game, you're going to get motion blurring on most of the 60 hertz machines. The 120 and the 240, because they scan faster, they can keep up with the image better and smooths it out. If you watch a movie in 240 hertz, it almost has a video instead of a film quality to it. So you usually want to turn off that feature, that higher hertz feature, higher speed feature, when you're watching movies if you get one of those higher scanning televisions. Now, there's also plasma. Plasma is kind of in between. You can get a large plasma television for quite a bit cheaper than you can an LCD or an LED. You could be planning on playing video games on them, where there are static images on the screen for extended periods of time. You're going to get burn-in. Now, eventually that burn-in can get washed away, but still, you watch a movie after playing a game for a couple hours and you're going to see little artifacts on the screen. Another thing you have to worry about with plasmas is the phosphors that make up the plasma will degrade over time. They'll fade, and your colors will get less vibrant over the years. So if you're planning on keeping your TV for 5, 6, 8 years, I would stay away from the plasma. Now, if you check the show notes, I'll have a list of the HDTVs that I recommend. Now, we've got an email question that's come in from Susie Gould of Reston, Virginia. Susie wants to know if she can watch HD television on her HDTV without paying for digital cable. If you're in a metropolitan area, chances are very good that you can get all of your network television in high definition just by hooking an antenna up to your TV. Now, I would recommend a powered antenna, one that actually plugs in and supplies power to the antenna and can pick up a broader range of signals. But chances are you'll be able to get ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, CW, all the major broadcast networks in HD for no charge at all. Now, for USA Network and TNT and all of that, you have to have cable to get those in HD. If you have an HDTV and want to try it yourself, there's a great website I recommend. It's called antennaweb.org. You can go to antennaweb.org and type in your address, and it will give you a list of the stations in your area that are broadcasting in HD and how close they are to your house. It'll also tell you which direction to point your antenna to get the best signal. Thanks for being with me on this first edition of Tech Love Hate. Be sure to tune in next week where I'll have more answers to your tech issues. And if you live in the Nashville, Tennessee area, click on that PC Love Hate tab. Once you click on that tab, you can make an appointment to have me come out to your home or office and take care of whatever tech issues you might have. You might also notice that we've got some Amazon links with recommendations and an Amazon search tab. If you do any shopping on Amazon, please start here. When you click on a link or do a search and buy something on Amazon, we get a percentage of those sales. You get the same great price, but we get a percentage, and it helps keep this show going. Again, thanks for being with me on Tech Love Hate. See you next time.